Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Keyblade Master and welcome to my channel. Now, one of the things I stated in my Assassin's Creed Unity review was I wasn't going to tell you much of the story there. Whenever I feel like I need to bloviate a lot about the game's story, I'm going to try to put it in its separate video now. That way my videos won't be like a half an hour long, most of them just bloviating about parts of the story that I either really liked or pissed me off. In the case of Assassin's Creed Unity, there was a lot of things that I didn't like, and I'm here to kind of tell you about them. Alright, first thing you need to know is it's set in the French Revolution. If you don't know what that is, and you haven't ever taken a history class, basically it happened in the 1790s. Famine, political corruption were kind of going on around France. People there saw the American Revolution. In fact, we had Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin kind of pushing the people towards this too, because they wanted another country like us. So they kind of were pushing people towards revolution. They started a revolution, and then all heck broke loose. The American Revolution and the French Revolution are kind of mere opposites to each other in a big way. While the American Revolution ended kind of peacefully, it was still bloody, but it ended peacefully, gave us George Washington as a president and a constitution that has lasted over 200 years. The French Revolution was a very, very bloody revolution, and it ended up giving the French people to despots, Robespierre and Napoleon. So it's a very interesting time in history and a great place to put in a fictional band of assassins out to keep peace and to fight for liberty. So you would think right away this would be an interesting story. Unfortunately, Ubisoft blows it. Not necessarily from the history angle. They still try to keep a lot of the events in the game. If it's not part of the main stories, then they push some of the events into the side into these murder mysteries that I talked about in my review. So where did Ubisoft actually go wrong in the story? Well, let's take a look at its characters. First, let's start off with our main character, who's a ponytailed aristocrat, granted adopted into an aristocratic family, but a ponytailed aristocrat who's lazy, likes to get into fights, and is a womanizer. Oh boy, why does this sound familiar? Let me guess, his father dies and he finds out about the fight between assassins and Templars, and his father was killed because of that fight. Yup, this definitely sounds freaking familiar. Hello, Ezio Auditore de... No, seriously, Arno and Ezio from Assassin's Creed 2 have the exact same backstory. Pretty much completely. The only difference is why Ezio is kind of hot-blooded and likable, Arno is stale and boring. Oh, but they threw in a few new twists this time, trying to make it more interesting. Unfortunately, all these twists are epic failures. For one thing, Arno's adoptive father wasn't an assassin, he was head Templar Knight. Basically, he was the leader of the Templars. But this guy wanted to make peace with the assassins because he was tired of all the killing. This would be great. Unfortunately, we never really learn much about this guy's ideology, or for that much his daughter, which Arno is hopelessly in love with. But the assassins don't trust Elise because she's, quote, a Templar and a daughter of a Templar. But they trust Arno, who was raised by the same person. Hello? Something's not quite right there. Yes, Arno's biological father was an assassin, but he was killed when he was a very young kid. He's been raised by the Templars. Why the hell do they trust Arno, but they don't trust Elise, who was raised by the same man? Ugh! I started to realize just how little this story and the characters made sense and how little I cared about them when, about halfway through the game, the guy who brings Arno into the assassins, his mentor, decides to betray some of the assassins who want to side with Elise and help her battle some of the Templars that are betraying her because he just flat out doesn't like Templars. Okay, I couldn't care less about that scene was one of the things. It should have been a heavy scene. He's killing a friend of his father and someone who helped him in the past, and yet I could care less. So little that I didn't even bother to record it. Also, it doesn't make sense because the reason why he hates Templars is because he battled them in North America when they were being led by Hytham Kenway. Hytham Kenway, whose biological father was an assassin, whose illegitimate son was an assassin, yet he was lead Templar. Goes back to the main problem with the characters and the relationship with the assassins. It just doesn't make sense. Oh, but the thing that really pissed me off was when it comes to the Reign of Terror. Like I said, for the most part, they get the rest of the revolution okay. But the Reign of Terror is kind of the big grand finale. It's kind of where a lot of the historical fiction when it comes to the French Revolution, like the Tale of Two Cities, it's kind of the climax. It's the area where a lot of stuff happens, where it's chaos all around. So you'd have plenty of time for some heroes and some villains to get together and have a great historical fiction combat. And it's completely skipped over through a time skip where Arno gets drunk because his girlfriend dumped him, and the assassins finally decide to kick him out. This was a disappointment. Yeah, I wasn't expecting them to, of course, show a whole bunch of guillotining going on, but come on! There should be story missions set up here. Instead, you time skip it to pretty much the end where Arno decides to return to Paris so he can shoot Robespierre in the mouth and have him hauled away to the guillotine. That's a complete disappointment. Robespierre is also a disappointment in the game. In real life, as a villain, if I had to compare him to a fictional villain, he'd be like Yagami from Death Note. Someone who started out, at least, thinking he was going to be doing the right thing and bringing freedom and liberation to the people, and turning into a tyrannical despot that would have equaled Caligula if the French people hadn't given him a haircut with the guillotine. Instead here, oh no, he's always been just an evil Templar out to screw people, so therefore, no problem shooting him in the face. So you want to know what the modern day story is? You really want to go to what the modern day story is? It completely sucks. It makes me wish they bring Desmond back. It's that bad. Fortunately, it's not part of the main game very much, but what's there just completely blows. Basically, we find out at the very beginning of the game that Abstergo has made its own virtual reality Animus video game console. Yeah, I don't remember it being there at E3 either, but stay with me. Basically, some random assassins hack into your console and ask for help. Yeah, they just hack into random game consoles. Oh no, I'm not a game console person. I'm part of Abstergo's quality assurance, trying to patch the bugs in this piece of shit game. Oh, you are assassins looking for something. Okay, well, let me order you a pizza. Feel free to open the door. Never mind, the delivery man has an Uzi. Yeah. This makes absolutely no sense. You don't think the assassins who are nearly killed off according to the original game would just start hacking into random game consoles because you don't know who's playing. This is a great way of exposing yourself, guys. Stupid. But anyways, what are the assassins after? Well, they want you to find the body of a sage. If you don't know what a sage is, in the last game we find out there's been an alien who's been reincarnating himself into every generation. Basically, the sage of the French Revolution was the one who was giving Arno all his difficulties and the one who killed Arno's father. They want to know what happened to his body so Abstergo doesn't get their hands on it. Long story short, we find out at the end that Arno's already taking care of the problem, making this whole game story, as far as the overall context when it comes to the modern day story arc of Assassin's Creed, completely pointless. Yeah, it's a waste of time. I mean, if I was the gamer who decided to risk his life to do this, I'd be pretty pissed. Anyways, yeah, the main story when it comes to the modern day is stupid. The characters of the French Revolution are boring. So basically, this overall story really drags what could have been a great game down. The fact that I could care less about the story and had to endure the story made jumping through Paris, France a lot more tedious, and it's a complete disappointment. Hence why I gave Assassin's Creed Unity a much lower grade than what it probably would have gotten if I was interested in the characters at all. It's such a shame. Anyways, I give the story of Assassin's Creed Unity a 2 out of 5. It's one of the worst stories I've had to sit through in a game. Sometimes no narration is better than having a bad narration. In the case of Assassin's Creed Unity, it's a bad narration. Anyways, thank you for enduring my bloviation about this game's awful story. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below, and I'm going to put in a clip that lets you watch my main review if you haven't already. Anyways, this is Tommy the Keyblade Master, thanking you for watching and signing out. I'll see you guys later. Bye.